The UK borders remain open, the Home Office are still all over the place, and now we have a situation where Indians are taking advantage of this and are pretending to be asylum seekers. Alright, so the rumors we heard a couple of weeks ago about a huge group of Indian people coming via small boats from France into Dover and other places in Kent is now officially confirmed, and also in terms of the stats. It's a bit of a weird situation considering the relationship between the British government and India, and considering the whole historic links, Commonwealth and everything else in the past, and how in terms of economic migrants there is a legitimate and a legal route for people with talent, or if they have something to contribute, they can do it. But there are still some who know that they will fail if they go through the legal economic migration route. So they've decided to take advantage of the situation in the English Channel, and they are crossing the channel from France into the UK.
Sit down, please sit down. 5 minutes.
As usual, not one single vulnerable child or woman on the boats. They're all young, healthy men with access to mobile phones that they get rid of just before they arrive, obviously. But it's fascinating what's going on, because there are various rumors about the whole situation, about why Indian people are now taking advantage of this, even though they can legally come if they go through the legal routes. And we know that now they are the third largest group of illegal migrants after people from Pakistan and Afghanistan. So they are still much higher than people from Albania and other places. So, of course, those are other problems we have to deal with, that, especially when it comes to the Albanian criminals who are coming here to join the gangs. That's different. But in terms of Indians, third largest group, there's absolutely no excuse, but there are theories behind it. One theory being pursued is that Serbia's visa-free travel rules for Indians, which the Home Office officials believe is providing a gateway into Europe. Until the end of last year, all Indian passport holders were able to enter Serbia without a visa for up to 30 days. Now, Home Office officials believe that arrangement, which ended on the 1st of January as part of Serbia's efforts to align with EU visa policies, have now led to some Indians traveling onwards into the EU and, of course, eventually coming into the UK. That makes sense. As in terms of one possibility of why this has been going on over the last few weeks. We know that if that arrangement has ended in January, and this problem escalated from January, and because the European Union has open borders and free movement, as long as they're inside the EU, they can just keep going through and through and through different countries, get to France eventually, and pay a lot of money. So clearly, these are middle-class Indians, just like how the majority of illegal migrants are middle-class people from various countries, because they have to have enough money to do that. The actual vulnerable refugees remain stuck in refugee camps or in their own countries. It's not as easy to migrate, but that could be definitely a possibility. But again, we have to be realistic. The Home Office trying to find scapegoats, shifting the blame, is nonsensical. But there is two sides to this, as I've always been saying. The Home Office, they have their own problems. The British government, when it comes to legislation, when it comes to the lack of urgency in terms of the bureaucrats, the border force, and the deportation cases that keep failing. That's one thing. But there is a fundamental problem that is affecting us as a result of the European Union's open border policy, free movement. You are literally allowing anybody, as long as they enter the European Union countries, they can, like Greece or wherever, they can just go through all the other countries for free, easily. They can get to France, get to Calais, for example, or Dunkirk, and then come here. So, not shifting the blame, but they are creating that problem for us and themselves. So, they are basically pushing out all the migrants who come to the West, get to France eventually, and then France also lets them go because they don't want them to stay there. Makes sense. I would have done the exact same thing as the French are doing. So, I don't really blame them. But we are putting more pressure on the French authorities, not to say that they're doing a good job, but 6 people have now been convicted in France over the small boat migrant smuggling network. So these 6 men set up storage bases for small boat people smuggling network in northern France. They have now been jailed. An investigation was been supported by the National Crime Agency, our NCA. Our officers have been working with the Anglo-French Joint Intelligence Cell, and they identified the location where the boats and equipment were being stored by this crime group. And they are trying to find ways to actually get the names and details of the other people smugglers. But again, I am not convinced that the French intelligence isn't that weak. They clearly do know enough. They know where these people are, who these people are, roughly speaking, and they've already convicted 6 of them. Why can't they, and us, if we're doing the Anglo-French agreement, accelerate the plan? Keep going after them, keep finding them, keep convicting them, and just get it over with. Again, not that it's going to solve all the problems, but we also have to make sure that we don't create a very attractive destination, final destination for the migrants. You can't really bring them here, give them free food and free accommodation and free this and free that, and let them walk around the streets causing harm when it comes to our vulnerable people in the streets. How many times do we have to have these incidents for us to create some sort of urgency without being called some sort of bigoted idiot or whatever? It's not. We're just talking about national security and the well-being of our nation. It's not really rocket science. Now, one of the issues, as we said, is the European judges obviously create obstacles, but the Human Rights Act, as it stands, is again creating a new version of obstacle, not just the way the European judges do the verdict. We have to completely override all the existing treaties, conventions, and essentially whether it's ECHR or the UN Refugee Convention. But again, it's not really just about leaving those organizations, because there are countries like Denmark and France and many others who are still in those organizations, but they are able to do deportations. How come they can do it and we can't? Someone is doing something wrong. Someone is being complicit or complacent. Regardless of what it is, it's not good enough. The whole system must change now before it gets much worse over the next few years. We're already reaching high numbers, and it's only February. It's only the 16th of February, 2023, and where the numbers are going completely escalating as usual. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm Mahyar, Tousi, and we are the media.